Hello everyone, welcome back to Roughing the Competition. My name is Brant and this is Trevor, and today is going to be the NCAA Week 10 key matchups of the week.
It is, and it's going to be huge. All right, now in all seriousness, this is going to be a big week. We got some big games on tap.
Finally.
I mean, we're here. I mean, as you're going to see here in a sec, we got some big games coming up. I mean, first question of the week. Can Michigan keep their playoff hopes alive? They're facing a tough Penn State team who's been beaten up this year, but they're going to look to maybe redeem themselves a little bit. Will Kentucky upset Georgia and continue this Cinderella run that they've been on? And, I mean, heaven forbid, take driver's seat in the East. How about West Virginia? We saw the offense show up at Baylor. Will it show up against Texas this week? Both are destined for a showdown with Oklahoma, it looks like. Who gets there? Lastly, LSU has four wins against top 25 on the season so far. And they're at home, and they get Bama. What are the odds that the 15-point underdog can upset Bama? We're going to cover all that here in the next few minutes. But we're going to kick things off first by taking a look at an interesting game. Don't know how good it'll be. But we got the Northwestern Wildcats, who are in the driver's seat in the Big Ten's West Division, against the number 3 Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Do you even give Northwestern a hope or a prayer here?
I want to say yes.
Yeah.
I really do want to say yes because, Notre Dame wins this game. They have a couple key games late, but they win this game. They're looking pretty for the NCAA playoffs. I just believe this is Notre Dame's year, though, to finally make the playoffs and kind of bridge that gap between, non-conference teams and that playoff. Don't sleep on the pesky Wildcats, though. They are known to win some games they're not supposed to win.
Wisconsin last week, for instance.
Yeah. And it's just, there's no stats that really pop out for Notre Dame. They're very
balanced,
and they just win.
Yeah.
And both of these teams have that kind of same philosophy, though, but I think Notre Dame has just a little bit more talent than Northwestern does.
Yeah, the Wildcats have played well. I mean, they kept it close with Michigan, pulled out upsets against Michigan State and Wisconsin. But let's hold back a little bit. They only beat Wisconsin by 2 scores, a game where Alex Hornibrook left fairly early to a concussion, and Jonathan Taylor fumbled twice. That's a rarity. Now, they are playing Notre Dame here. They do have the home field, but I'm sorry, Northwestern. Have a nice day playing at home. Get ready for Iowa next week. It's a much bigger game for you. So with that, we'll turn over to the Big 12. And I know Brant's going to go off in a minute, but we have West Virginia rolling in, looking to redeem themselves kind of on this comeback tour almost after that Iowa State loss. They beat just the doors off Baylor. That wasn't even a game. Texas, meanwhile, fell behind really fast to Oklahoma State, but rallied late to make it a game. Almost pulled it out, got it within 3 with 2 to go, but it just wasn't enough for the Longhorns. Before I ask you who you pick, I'm going to go ahead and say I think West Virginia's got this. I think they're on the comeback tour, and I think Will Greer just keeps firing the ball.
You picked my team.
I did pick your team, and that's a little shocking. It's a little shocking. All right, though. Let's get to your pick, even though we all know what it is.
Oh, okay. So I want to go on a little rant. Here come my heartbreak Mountaineers.
Yeah.
They really did break my heart a few weeks ago. I was soul crushed after that Iowa State game for a few days. But we did turn it around against Baylor.
Yeah.
We scored 31 points just in the second quarter alone. We made sure that game was in hand. Iced. Set Will Greer for the fourth quarter type of iced game. Let Greer throw the ball, Holgerson. He only threw that ball 15 times against Iowa State. You have arguably one of the better quarterbacks in college football.
Yeah.
I say one of the best.
I know. And
you only let him throw the ball 15 times. How? Why? I don't understand. The man has 2,277 yards passing on the season with that crappy game.
Yeah.
And not to mention, he has three receivers with over 500 receiving yards in Sills, Jennings, and Sims. Yeah. Marcus Sims.
Yeah.
And so it's throw the ball. That's your bread and butter.
Please throw the ball. I don't want to see him throw a fake.
I'm going to be really mad. But I do think we do get one here because we've shown what we can do when we did throw the ball against Baylor.
Yeah, you did. But then again, it was Baylor.
The second worst team
Hey,
in the Big 12.
Holgerson, prove me right. Lose this game so I know for sure you're fired. Anyways, let's go on to the interesting matchups. Yes, that's right, West Virginia fans. I said your game wasn't that interesting. So let's move on to Penn State, Michigan. Welcome to the CFP hopefuls. Ooh, that one stings too, doesn't it? All right. So anyways, Penn State comes in here, losers of every major game during McSorley's career. Michigan, meanwhile, comes in here hoping to keep these hopes and dreams alive. I mean, their only loss is to Notre Dame on the year. They're looking at that perennial date with Ohio State here in about 3-4 weeks. Do they get past Penn State and get there?
Penn State, not very good right now. But Shea Patterson has been playing exceptionally well for Michigan. He's only throwing 3 picks on the year. But I do think that key to that game is going to be Karan Higdon, who has 821 yards on the ground right now.
Yeah.
If you can control the clock and control the game with the run game, I believe Michigan should come out of this game pretty handedly and win this pretty easily.
Yeah, I'd already say the key to Michigan's success, it starts with Higdon. He came back for his senior season for a reason, won a Big Ten title. He's going to lead the march on that offensive side. And to be honest, we know how this one plays out. McSorley's on the other side. He may be a first-round projected QB, maybe a second-round projected. He ain't that good, and he ain't won a big game. So I'm not picking him here.
Win here, and maybe Michigan can look forward to that big old game in the shoe.
Yeah. Yeah, they will. All right, so now, as you can probably guess, there's 2 games left, and most of you are probably going, oh, we know which 2 are left now that we see Georgia, Kentucky. All right, this is a battle for the SEC East. Both these teams took care of business last week. Georgia beat up on Florida and Jacksonville. And then we turned around and saw Kentucky put on the heroics to come back on a Missouri team that frankly controlled the game for the most part. Mm-hmm. Do you give Kentucky a chance here against the Georgia team?
Again, I want to, but I don't think so. Georgia finally kind of flexed their muscles against a top opponent last week in Florida. The trio of receivers, Ridley, Harmon, and Holloman, there's no 3 corners on that Kentucky team that can stop all 3. They might be able to stop 1 or maybe 2, but not all 3. These 3 have 1,024 yards of Jake Fromm's 1,600 passing yards on the season. So, I mean, you stop them, you might as well stop their passing game, but I don't really see you guys stopping them. So, I think Georgia wins here by 2-3 scores.
Yeah, it's been a great Cinderella story for Kentucky. I mean, they've kind of came out of nowhere. We've seen Benny Snell lead the charge for them. But last week we saw the QB Wilson show up late. He rallied them down the field, got the score after the big turnover, sealed the game against Missouri. And I can't believe I'm going to say this, but if you remember back at Outlooks, I picked Auburn to beat Georgia. I got a funny feeling Kentucky pulls it off here. Don't know why. I think they pull it off. Screw it. Who am I kidding? Fromm's going to throw on them all day long. Yeah, never mind.
I was like, what?
Yeah. No, throw that Cinderella slipper out the window, Kentucky. You are by far and away absolutely done. Enjoy finishing probably 10-2, getting a nice bowl game because you're not winning the SEC East. Sorry. All right, let's go to the fun one.
Woo.
We have Bama LSU. Let's talk about Bama LSU for a second. Both of us have been big on the LSU bandwagon. Kind of have to be. We're in Joey Burrow's hometown. Can't really not be on the bandwagon of LSU. But at the same time, we both know Bama is dominant. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to just put this matchup like this. It's David versus Goliath. Rocky versus Drago. A Browns head coach versus a winning season and job security. This is the ultimate dream matchup for a college fan. The defensively stout all-pro-like LSU defense with most likely 4 of the 5 future first-rounders led by Greedy Williams versus that explosive offense that has weapons everywhere at Bama. We also have the tough, gritty, scratch-and-claw LSU offense versus that mighty Bama defense that really hasn't let down this season. In fact, it's kept Tua on the bench in the 4th quarter the whole season. But we also have the competitive, tough-as-nails game manager in Joe Burrow versus the Heisman-leading, stat-stuffing future pro Tua. We also have Zeus-like Coach Saban versus the ultimate risk-taking, Louisiana gambling Ed Orgeron. So with that said, this is the matchup everyone has been clamoring for, whether they knew it or not, because of that. So with that said, Brant, this game's in Death Valley. Do you think Bama has a shot?
Bama has a shot. Bama absolutely.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's how I meant LSU. Doesn't have a shot. My bad. I got too excited.
Okay, so my heart, like you think you probably, my heart is here with LSU here.
Yeah.
I want them to win. My brain, who has been pretty smart recently with my picks, has been telling me to pick Alabama.
Yeah.
And I think I'm going with my brain here on this one. I don't want to, but Tua is just far and away probably right now the best player in college football right now.
Yeah.
There's no denying his stats. None. The man hasn't played a fourth quarter or thrown a pick this year. Even though I do think that part changes this week.
Yeah.
I do think he ends up throwing a pick somewhere.
Probably in the fourth quarter.
And playing the fourth quarter. He's like, I'm not used to being here, guys. I don't know what I'm doing. But LSU has a very vaunted defense. I'm not going to sleep on LSU's defense. I think that would be the reason they stay in the game if they do stay in the game. Mm-hmm. Tua is touting a 70% completion rating, and I just think he continues here.
Let's face it, this game not only decides the SEC West, it decides the whole SEC, frankly, unless Georgia decides to step up in the title game. It also, frankly, probably determines the national champion. I mean, the SEC, for lack of a better looking at it, you're going to have 3 teams with 10 wins in the East side. You're going to have these 2 in the West side with 10 wins. Probably 9 of the SEC teams are going to be over 500. Which means to do that, they've had to beat up their non-conference, and they've done that across the board for the most part. I mean, Ole Miss didn't even have a winning record in the West, it looks like, and they beat up Texas Tech. But with that said, I'm in the same boat as you. My head says Bama. My heart says LSU. But long ago, I learned even though it's going to probably get broken, I got to trust the heart. And I believe in the gamblers. I'm going to believe in Burrow, and I'm going to believe in Orgeron, and I'm going to ride the pony till it collapses.
Oh, man.
I'm not going to stop here. I'm going to go ahead and just call it now. They're going to roll through here. They're going to beat up A&M in a couple weeks. They're going to destroy Georgia, and then, heaven forbid, whatever national championship teams they face in the process, they're going to win both those playoff games. I'm calling it now. LSU's going to win the title.
I think we can both agree these are probably the 2 best teams in college football right now.
There's some Clemson fans I'd want to argue, but yeah, I think we're looking at probably the best matchup we'll see all season.
Unfortunately, and it's only week 10.
Yeah, but, it's such a beautiful matchup.
I want to see it again, but we're not going to be able to.
I don't think your heart can handle seeing it again. I know mine won't if they lose.
All right, guys.
Yep, thanks. The usual, follow us on Twitter, follow us on Facebook.
That's pretty much it. Follow us, and keep an eye out on our Facebook pages and our Facebooks and Twitters. Maybe we have something a little extra for you there.
You never know. All right, thanks, guys.